Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. Crazy top story, but the president of Iran might be dead. Helicopter carrying Iran's President Raisi crashes in the mountains. This occurred in the border region between Iran and Azerbaijan. And I don't think anything nefarious happened. I don't think he was shot down or assassinated. More than likely, this was either piloting error or a mechanical malfunction. The Iranians were dumb enough to fly their president through a mountainous region in thick fog. And they can't find the crash site. So these are search and rescue crews out on foot looking for the crash site because visibility is near nothing. It's currently nighttime in Iran. They still haven't found it as of the time I'm filming this video. They will resume searching in the morning. And 3 of the search and rescue crew members looking for the crash site have also now gone missing. So they need to send out search and rescue for the search and rescue. Good job, Iran. Now, Iran is Russia's #1 military ally. I do believe that President Raisi is a war criminal, having supplied Russia with these kamikaze drones that have been slamming into civilian targets in European cities. So I can't really say I'm sad he's gone, but I don't think this changes anything. The real power in Iran is under the supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei. He's currently 85 years old, and he's just going to replace this guy with a guy politically identical to him. So, interesting development, but I don't think it changes the politics between Russia and Iran at all. Let's get back to Ukraine. Ukrainian forces stabilized the Russian offensive in the Kharkiv Oblast. Russia's made virtually no progress anywhere in the last 4 days. Once again, the 2 villages to look at to see if the Russians are making progress. One is over here. This is Lipsy. This is the road that goes to Kharkiv city. And the hotspot, the bigger threat, is this city of Vovchansk. Pre-war population close to 18,000 people. Russia is now saying they launched this offensive to establish a security zone. So for all the pro-Russian bloggers pounding their chests, saying they're finally going to capture the city of Kharkiv, 1.5 million, Putin just threw cold water on that theory, and he admits the goal is never to take the city of Kharkiv. This is what he said at a press conference in China. When it comes to what's happening in the Kharkiv region, it's also their fault, because they were shelling and unfortunately keep on shelling residential city blocks in border areas, including Belgorod. Civilians are dying there. It's self-evident that they're shooting at the center of the city, directly at residential city blocks. I'm saying publicly that if it continues, we will be forced to create a safety zone, a sanitary zone. This is what we are doing. When it comes to the city of Kharkiv, we currently don't have such plans for it. Okay, Russia, if you want to move the goalpost again and say what you've taken is all you ever intended to take, then why are you still attacking? Why are you still conducting these meat assaults? And concerning the danger to the civilians in the Belgorod region, Russia keeps bombing themselves. Bombs away, Russia continues to drop aerial bombs on its own territory. They've now dropped close to 50 of these Fab 500 bombs on Belgorod in the last 3 months. So the biggest threat to Russian civilians is Russian aviation. Zelensky says he does expect the Russian offensive in the northeast to intensify. We're past the May 9th Victory Day parade, we're past the election, we're past the inauguration. At some point this summer, Putin is going to announce another mass mobilization. I think as long as the Russian military can still get contract soldiers, signing new soldiers about 1,000 a day, each earning about $2,000 a month, then Putin can hold off mobilization. But eventually the recruits willing to die for $2,000 a month are going to dry up. And Putin is going to do another round of mass mobilization. Could these 300,000 soldiers be sent to the Kharkiv region? Yes, it's a possibility, and Ukraine has to plan for it. Russia has started to destroy Vovchansk, Kharkiv governor warns. This poor city is the latest casualty of this war. The only way that Russia can advance is by destroying every building and killing every person. That's what's currently happening in the village of Vovchansk. So what the Ukrainians have done, this is pretty obvious when you zoom in. The north side of this city is high ground, and the Russians immediately took it once they crossed the border. There is a small river running through the city, and Ukraine has written off the north side of the city. They can't defend it at this point, but they can create a barrier with this river, blow the bridges, hold the south side. So the Russians are going to occasionally push into the city from the north, from the high ground, but they have no way of getting across this river. There are Ukrainian defenders on the south side of the city, still giving updates. This is the same defender from my video 3 days ago. This is his update from yesterday. I'm going to read this. Today is May 18th. We're in Vovchansk, evacuating people, doing work. Our hometown is being destroyed to pieces. It is not safe to stay in the city. There is constant shelling. There are a lot of stray dogs running around. We're here, we're working. We will definitely win. Glory to Ukraine. These are police officers from the city of Kharkiv. They've been brought up to this region to help with evacuations. And this woman right here is 92 years old, being evacuated. She survived Nazi occupation during World War II. And in this clip, she says what the Russians are doing are way worse than what the Nazis ever did.
Из погреба не вылазим.
Оце огонь, огонь, огонь. Ціло нічого. Війну пережила. Не знаю, ця дуже страшна. Та була Германія і нас не обіжала. Яєчню собі таку суху їм давали, і вони були, мені 8 років було. І вони жарять собі. І мені дають.
Як вас звуть?
Віра Семенівна.
These people are losing their homes, they're losing their lives, they're becoming internal refugees at 92 years old. Ukraine accuses Russia of civilian abductions and killings in Vovchansk. When the Russians find people, they force them into basements. They basically mobilize them to serve them whatever needs they demand of them. That's if they're lucky. The Russians have just been executing a lot of people. I'll link this clip down below, but this was a Ukrainian citizen in a wheelchair. This person's disabled, and as soon as the Russians found him, they just executed him. Russia doesn't even take care of or evacuate their own disabled, so they have no appreciation for humanity. They have no compassion for these people. This is supposed to be the ethnic Russian-speaking part of Ukraine, and the Russians are just killing all of these people. According to President Zelensky, all of Ukraine's artillery brigades finally have enough shells to hold back the Russians. The United States passed their security assistance package almost a month ago. These shells sent from the United States are finally making it to the front lines. And it's not everything that Ukraine wants. The situation today is better than it was a month ago, and a month from now in June, it'll get even better, once the artillery shells from the Czech initiative also start arriving. But I have seen these reports of people talking to the units on the front lines. This person right here says he visited a couple artillery divisions firing 155 millimeter shells, and they have confirmed we are so back. Lots of spectacular videos online of the Russians getting annihilated. Ukrainian forces repel Russian assault on Chasiv Yar, destroying 20 enemy armored vehicles. If you want to see these drone videos of the war, the conflict, I'll link this down below. But this is the column of about 20 armored vehicles that all get annihilated by drones, artillery, and landmines. Russia's been trying to take the village of Chasiv Yar for over a year now. And it's just Groundhog's Day again and again and again as they send their soldiers to die. Ukrainian missile strikes destroy Russian warplanes in Crimea, satellite images show. We reported on this in my last video, but it takes 24 to 48 hours to get the satellite images. And this is Belbek airfield, with numerous planes being annihilated by an ATACMS strike. But the real victory, this is pretty cool. This was the storage tanks for their jet fuel in order for their planes to fly. And this is the before picture, this is the after. Russia just lost 450,000 liters of jet fuel. They can't use this airbase in Crimea anymore. If it's within ATACMS range, Russia's aviation can't store jet fuel, munitions, or their planes at these air bases. So this is going to dramatically change the war, given that Russia can no longer fly their jets out of Crimea. Russia lost some more ships. Ukraine destroyed a minesweeper ship, Project 266M Kavrovets. For those of you playing Black Sea Fleet Bingo, you can cross another ship off your board. And that was 2 nights ago. So as of last night, they might have gotten another ship with an ATACMS missile. This is the Cyclone? And this corvette is capable of firing Russia's hypersonic Zircon missiles. So the ship is basically brand new. It was commissioned in July of 2023, and now it's on the bottom of the Black Sea. Well done. What's coming up next, I can't really explain. Ukraine behind overnight drone strikes on Russian oil depots and port cities. Over 100 drone attacks overnight targeting Russia's Krasnodar oil refinery. There are so many of these drone attacks occurring in the Rostov region, the Krasnodar region, and Crimea. It's all a jumble on social media. It's all happening so fast on such a large scale, I can't keep track of what's what. We are getting these videos online. If it's broad daylight, it's pretty easy to confirm, yes, this oil refinery is being hit, but some of these videos are at night and they look legit, but there's just so much happening with drones right now. Here's a video. This one is in the port city of Novorossiysk, and it's being hammered by drones. This is a Russian filming drone after drone coming into the port, slamming into stuff, and there's zero air defense stopping it. So let me read for you what this Russian in the port city has to say. They don't end. There's been over 80 of them. All this scum flying toward the ports, the coasts, the terminals, effing exploding, and air defenses are working. They're flying in a row. It's a mess, moron. And there's another one after it, 3 in a row. They just keep coming. The swarms flying. 20 and 15 minutes, this is crazy. The air defense, it's not working at all. This BS has been going on since 2 a.m. in the morning. It's effing crazy. You hear that? It hit the overpass. We don't have the overpass anymore, and no tanks. We've effing waited. Effing hell. Yep, everything's on fire. Russia faces fuel shortage due to refinery strikes. They're being helped by imports now from Belarus and Kazakhstan. But it doesn't really matter. If they have to import refined oil products like gasoline and diesel, they're spending money. If they can't make it themselves, it's way more expensive to import it. This is going to hasten the collapse of the Russian economy. And Crimea is the key. It's always been the key. With the destruction of all these air defense systems and all these drones and ATACMS getting through, Putin's regime cannot protect Crimea. It's just too vulnerable. So it's going to take time, another 6 months, another year. But if Ukraine can liberate Crimea, this will destabilize Putin's regime. This is his propaganda win, taking this peninsula from Ukraine. And Putin could have stopped. Putin could have stopped this 10 years ago, having just took Crimea and then declaring victory, but he got greedy, he wanted more, and now the Russians are going to lose everything because of him. Another Su-25 plane was shot down. I don't know how Ukraine is doing this, but they have been getting more Stingers, more man-pads into the conflict zone, so it's either a roaming Patriot system or Ukrainian units on the ground are getting really good with these man-pads. Massive industrial fire in St. Petersburg. I don't necessarily share all these clips all the time, but there's a lot of bizarre, unexplained fires in warehouses all across Russia. Could be sabotage, could just be ordinary Russian incompetence. It's going quite well, Putin tells Xi. Putin just wrapped up his trip to China to beg the Chinese for more help, to send them more than just these stupid golf carts. And the thing that Putin wants the most from the Chinese right now is funding and help for the Power of Siberia 2 gas pipeline. This is a pipeline that's supposed to stretch from Yamal through Siberia, through Mongolia to the coastline of China. And China won't do it. China will not fund and build this pipeline that Russia so desperately needs, because all of Russia's infrastructure went west towards Europe. This is really the only way to get their natural gas out. And if the Chinese wanted to build this pipeline, they could do it in a year. This war has now been going on for over 2 years, and China's just sitting on their hands. One theory is that Chinese banks don't want to fund this because they don't want to risk sanctions being placed on them by the West. But I still argue China doesn't really care. I think China is annoyed and embarrassed by the poor performance of the Russians. The value that Russia brought to their partnership was supposed to be their military expertise. And Russia can't even take more than 20% of Ukraine after 2 years. So I think China is going to continue to straddle the fence. They're not providing lethal aid, but they're also not participating in sanctions. If Russia collapses, I'm sure China thinks they can strike a deal with a new breakaway government for the eastern side of Russia, or they might just take some territory for themselves. So Russians better watch their back. Here's an unexpected twist. Georgia president vetoes controversial foreign influence law. And I didn't know who the president of Georgia was. She maybe keeps a low profile, but I haven't seen any clips of her talking about this bill before. But as soon as Georgia's parliament passed the foreign agent law that Russia wanted them to pass, she announced that she was going to veto it. Today I vetoed the Russian law. This law, in its essence and spirit, is fundamentally Russian. Contradicting our Constitution and all our European standards, it thus represents an obstacle to our European path. This veto is legally sound and will be delivered to Parliament today. This law is not subject to any changes or improvements, making it an easy veto. This law must be repealed. So I don't really understand how Russia miscalculated. Why would they force this issue if the president was just going to veto it? In the United States, Congress can override a veto with a supermajority. So I don't know if that's Russia's plan with their parliament. Perhaps if enough members of Georgia's parliament vote again, they can override the veto, but it's interesting, and I'm proud of the Georgian people for fighting back. Let's get to the good news for Ukraine. Lithuania is sending Ukraine recon drones, ammunition, and generators, as well as 6 Amber 1800 radar systems. This is part of a German-led initiative. Thank you so much to the fantastic people of Lithuania. Final clip I want to share with you is from ABC correspondent James Longman. He visited one of these underground schools in Kharkiv. Given that Russia likes to target and bomb schools, for Ukraine's children to get back in the classroom, they have to go underground. So here's his reports from one of these underground schools.
So I'm in what looks like a bunker here in Kharkiv. There are a lot of these to keep people safe when the bombs land, missiles and drones. Going further down into it, 18 feet underground, that is a pretty thick blast door right there. But this is not a bunker, this is a school. And it's in fact the first school of its kind in Ukraine where these kids can get an education away from the bombs. And I just want to show you one of these classrooms. They're on break time at the moment. Take a look at this. It's completely unexpected. Like I said, 18 feet below ground. So much of their education has been disrupted because of this war. If you think about the pandemic, so many children all around the world had to stay home. Well, these kids have been home for more than 2 years because of this war. This school enables them to come back to have some semblance of normality. They're changing class at the moment, running back into their classrooms. The only thing that's really different about this classroom is there are no windows, but just about everything else about it is a normal school, and it's incredibly heartwarming. Despite the dangers above, these children are back at school.
No windows, but it's still a nice school. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.